Hi Aquarius, how's it going? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. The first card that we have out is Three of Swords and King of Cups and the Sun. The Sun did come out reversed. So having Three of Swords generally speaks of something that feels painful in the moment. Having King of Cups, this is sort of the method that's going to be used or what's suggested to be used in order to work with this, in order to eventually integrate this. Having the Sun come out reversed is feeling to me like this can be a bit of a wounded ego that you're feeling. When we have the Sun reversed, it can be not feeling your normal energy. Different ways that this can play out. So just allow yourself to listen and you can sort of feel how it's resonating with you. When we have the Sun coming out reversed, it can feel like something has happened and it can be connected with your self-image, let's say, for example. And so this can be something, or something that you wanted to do even, like a willingness to do something, how you see yourself. When we have the Three of Swords, this can be something that we feel has impacted us in a way that when we have the Sun there, the Sun can be a very sensitive energy, whether we show it or not, because it is connected with our core and sort of how we perceive ourselves and what we identify with or don't identify with. So then when you think of being in a place where your main thrust feels like it's been injured in some type of way, like sort of where you like to put your energy, what you have been putting your attention onto. So it can feel kind of like that part is not totally focused right now, and it can feel actually a little bit introverted. I feel kind of a turning in that's possible to happen here when we have this. If there is an outward expression, there can be an acting out, because we also have the King of Cups here. King of Cups is when we have our feelings involved in something. So this is something where you can just have hurt feelings. It can really just be that. Maybe something was said, maybe you were thinking something, maybe something happened. Having King of Cups here shows something that you're emotionally connected with, or somewhere where you're sort of emotionally present to. But then having that Sun come out upside down can mean that maybe instead of expressing yourself in a way that feels like truly you, you're expressing yourself in a way that's coming from a place of feeling hurt. Because we see the Sun as being connected with your heart, but right now having it be reversed, this can be something happened, I feel upset about this, or I feel like there's an injury to an aspect of myself that usually propels me and from my heart, and now I'm feeling propelled from a different place within me. So you can kind of feel lost in this moment, because I see the Sun in this deck as, when it's upright, being connected with a sense of purpose. Like this is sort of my, I don't want to say cross to bear, but it feels more so sort of accepting one's path. So to have it reversed, I wonder if this is something that's sort of throwing you off currently from that, where you can feel a little bit like this is a misdirection of some sort. I'm seeing the Tower. Yeah, having Three of Swords be connected with the Tower is the Mars within us. The Tower is that part within us that is sort of ready to explode when necessary, or ready to reveal itself, or ready to surface when necessary, especially when it's feeling triggered. Three of Swords is a perfect trigger to activate your energy of Mars. I do feel like something is being broken down here. Like maybe you were building your attention or your focus in a particular direction that this is meant to redirect that a bit. But it can feel difficult to allow that to happen, especially when it happens in this sort of way. This can be a sting that was felt unexpectedly. It can be something difficult that happens unexpectedly, something painful that happens unexpectedly. So we have that going on, okay? But then I'm seeing King of Cups and I'm seeing Ace of Cups. So I wonder if that was what was going on before, but maybe now you're in a place where you want to feel a sense of connection, but you can also feel at the same time like there's still painful stuff that you're carrying with you. Ace of Cups is here. So there's a part of you that's saying, I want to feel that. I want to nurture that. I want to cultivate that within my life. But then having the sun be reversed almost feels like not properly expressing that, meaning there can be something that you want to do, but because these parts aren't like functioning normally, it can be coming out in a different way. Kind of like the notion of if you're like approaching, or think about like movies and shows, right? Somebody's approaching someone that they like. It's like that person can either bring flowers and say, hey, I like you, or the person can maybe bully the other person, and that's their way of communicating that they're interested in the person, but it's kind of convoluted and it comes from a place of pain. And so even though both of those things sort of symbolize a wanting to connect and wanting that attention or wanting to sort of have that plug in to whatever this is that the focus is going on, it can be a sort of strange way to manifest attempting to connect that. And I do feel like this is surfacing from a place of wounding very much, just having this Three of Swords and having the Tower. I wonder too, seeing Three of Swords in the Tower almost feels like a Mars that once in a while sort of implodes a bit. Like I wonder if this is some type of, like it's not there, it's not there, it's not there, and then all of a sudden it surfaces and it's really intense, and it's also really difficult to control as the Tower is. And it comes from a place of feeling like one is sort of in this warlike mentality as Mars is. Having that Three of Swords there feels like a threat of some sort. And then having the Tower is like the natural sort of response to that. And then also too, we have King of Cups, which is the best energy that's going to work with this. This is the one that's really able to dissuade this and sort of channel it in a different way and say like, it doesn't need to be like that. I want to feel a sense of connection. I feel like this thing is going to uproot that. Maybe if I behave like that, or if I'm being interacted with like that. And so it can really be something that wants to sort of bubble up, but then can manifest in, I think, like sort of a strange way. That's kind of what I get from the sun being reversed. It really does feel like the difference between a like healthy relationship with the ego versus like a wounded relationship with the ego, speaking about the sun and how that will present itself. So going through something that can feel like, wow, this is really challenging, or I feel really upset right now, or this really hurts, or I feel extremely bothered by this, or this feels very triggering to me, and then dealing with it in a way where there's still an ability to stay connected with core, with that pure energy within you and move through, versus all of that sort of becoming lost and still doing something, still showing up, but it feeling kind of disconnected from core and more connected from a place of wounding, which is just going to propagate more of that. When we have the sun reversed, it can also mean something that we haven't understood fully, because the sun is connected with things that come to light, things that are illuminated, things that we understand, things that are revealed. This can be stuff that has not yet come to light fully. I'm seeing the devil popping out. Wow, with the devil popping out, but then 10 of Cups on the bottom of the deck, this is the notion of thinking like, this is going to make me happy, this is going to make me happy, this is going to make me happy, and being like very convinced about that. But then you get there and you look around and you're like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I feel happy? And it's because of something being misconstrued here with that, because of there not being a full awareness of sort of what is the connection versus what is not, what holds that deeper value versus what doesn't. Because the devil is comprised of these ideas of, this is going to be the thing for me, or this is really what I want, and the obsession that we can form towards moving in that direction. So when we have Three of Swords, which we can see as sort of the genesis of some type of pain, and then we have the Tower, which is going to be acting from that place, acting from that triggered place. It's then sort of a haziness thinking, this is how I'm going to sort of secure what I want. It feels like it really allows this twisted energy to come in when we have the devil, where there's this element of materialism being brought to it that sort of lacks that deeper spiritual connection. It's like this storyline where something happens to someone, they're having a really difficult time sort of coming to terms with it, like they feel hurt by another person, and so they're like, I'm gonna get my revenge on this person, and it's like doing this and doing that and doing this over here, but still like not really feeling better. It's kind of the scenario here when we have Three of Swords, the Tower, and the devil. Because the devil is like, do it, do it, do it. Like, this is going to be the thing. Like, this will make you feel better. Like, this is going to be... And it's the devil saying, like, this is what's going to heal you. Because we have the Three of Swords here. So it's like, I know that I'm injured right now. I know that something is wrong right now. I know that, like, I want to heal this part of myself. And Mars saying, this is how we're going to do it. And it feels even like a bit of a misuse of that energy of Mars. Because when we have the devil there... It's coming from a place of ignorance when we have the devil there, because the devil is that sort of convincing voice saying, this is how it's going to be all made better. Just do this, just try this. And it's like doing all of these things, but then that wound still being there, like that didn't fix it. It didn't heal this. So it's sort of catching on to that it isn't the answer. And I think seeing where that's coming from, like catching on to this without even having to go all of the way into it, and recognizing where this narrative is coming from. And then having the King of Cups, like for some of you seeing the King of Cups here, I wonder if this is just all stuff that you're feeling but then not actually taking action. This can all be going on sort of in your head, like, or all connected with what you're feeling. Like, I'm having this idea, like I could take action like this, I could do it like that, I could do this over here, and like getting really carried away in your head. But then King of Cups may be like not actually doing that. So this can be like all sort of playing out on more of like an astral realm for you. But then King of Cups is the part of you that's going to be able to ground all of this. I want to say this again. The way that the devil shows up here feels like from a place that's not really showing yourself to you, from a place that's sort of blocking your inner light and inner wisdom and inner understanding of how you work as a system. The devil is coming up, blocking you from that inner knowledge. and saying, this is how we make it better. And then if you were to go along and follow that, from that place of pain and from that place of ignorance and from that place of aggression and righteousness, then you, if that thing were to be done, it doesn't actually resolve anything. So it's kind of like sending you on a mission, but then nothing actually gets accomplished. Something else is getting accomplished, but it's not that. It doesn't make the Three of Swords go away. It doesn't make the pain go away. It doesn't heal anything. It doesn't resolve anything. And so that's still lingering. And so it's going to be a never-ending cycle where there will just be a chasing of the tail endlessly, because that doesn't heal it. That's not how it works. So now this is being worked with. This will be a very powerful energy within. When we have the Devil, this is something where if we are not like really breaking this down and fact checking this energy, it's something that can really tell you these very convincing stories. We think that it's real and then go off and do whatever that is that we're being told to do, and then feel like that didn't accomplish what I was promised it was going to be accomplishing. And working with that aspect of yourself, I think really to get to the truth of I really think ultimately your inner light, like this being connected with how you work as a unit. Because the Sun kind of feels like the key here that's going to expose mistruths to you. And the Devil can be the influence of anyone. This can be anything. It can be somebody around you being like, this is how you're going to feel better. And then you take that advice and then you don't feel better. Because it's not actually resolving the catalyst. It's not even touching that. So right now there's a process that's happening where there is a moving into a place where we shift from it being painful to connect. I think with like misconceptions of self, moving into a place of connection where there can be a sense of purity within the connection that we feel as the purification process is happening, because this does feel like something that is unfolding, and then ultimately moving to a place where we feel like something can grow there because there is fertile ground, whereas before that is not what was there. And it feels to like the difference between trying to connect with the Devil, like whatever that is, recognizing that as much as that's being done, it still never really feels like that deeper connection one is looking for. And moving to a place of the realization of what one truly not only is looking for, but what's going to be effective. It's like, what's the real thing versus what's not. And you'll know by a sense of feeling, because this feels like I'm ready to connect deeper with myself. King of Cups, Ace of Cups. Maybe you also want to connect more deeply with those around you. Maybe you want to connect more deeply with the tree in your front yard. Like whatever this is, it feels like it's coming from a place where there is a desire to connect. And also having to work through the things that would be blocking that from happening. I do feel a sense that like suddenly something happened with the Tower here. The thing is that this can be a realization that's being made. Like, sure, it can be an event that happens, but this can also be something that comes to light that feels very potent and sort of changes the way that you take action as well, and allows something to really progress in a way that it hadn't been before. So this can be like, I'm moving through this stuff, working with myself. Before this stuff was, I had to work through it in order to put the pieces together. And now that I am, things are actually progressing much more quickly. I do also feel this sense of like you almost being hidden from yourself. Like having the sun come out reverse kind of feels like something not being plugged in or not having access. Sun reverse can also be like a lack of empowerment, a lack of like will as well. But I see it most of all like having to do with your understanding of things, like having to do with your wisdom and knowing how things work. So the difference between knowing if I do this, that's going to be the outcome, versus if I do that, that's going to be the outcome, and knowing which one is actually going to accomplish what you want it to accomplish. And I think also too, not being fooled. Like this doesn't just have to be like one event that happens. This can be like you're working with the parts of yourself that are coming up to be healed. And at times they can pop up and say, do something drastic. Or don't you want that thing over there? And it can have you sort of becoming a wrecking ball within your life. And then you're like, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Or like, why don't I feel better? Or I really thought that it was going to be this time. And then it's not. And you're realizing that this thing that's like motivating that is not coming from that place within yourself that is connected with the divine wisdom. It's connected with the influence of something else that's misleading. For those of you that this is something that you're experiencing on like maybe a more nuanced, or maybe you see it as being like more progressed or like a bit more evolved. This can be going through the back files of something here that brings up that little destructiveness within you that is misled. And sort of not falling for that and waiting for things to sort of reveal themselves and make sense, and connecting with that part of yourself that knows. I think too, like having Devil on one side, having Page of Cups on the other side, and then having Temperance in the middle feels like knowing the difference between an impulse, but one that comes from like a more dense place, where if you give in, there can even be like an immediate gratification, but then that ever pervading sense of emptiness of this thing that hasn't been fulfilled, versus your intuition. And that when that's what you are listening to, when that's what you're connected with, when that's what you're tuned into, even if it's asking you to do something difficult or to hold off or this or that you do end up feeling that sense of connection, that sense of satisfaction, that sense of peace, that sense of restoration. And this can also be something that goes on in a psychological sense, because we have Three of Swords. So this can be stuff that goes on where you sort of, there's this narrative, there are these thoughts, this station that you're tuned to in your head. that you can see comes from a bit of a broken place, versus when you are connected with the radio station that is that true pure inner feeling, that is that those intuitive nudges, that's what's coming through, and that it's a sound that brings peace, and it's something that brings healing, and it's something that feels nourishing to you, versus the anger and the pain that is connected with the Three of Swords. That can come in a lot of different ways. It doesn't just need to be like an outright anger about something. But it's something that does, this is its way of attempting to have a voice and getting to choose the way that this is channeled. And I think it can be used in a way where you can recognize what's coming to light and still utilize it in a way that you want to, versus having this come up and make demands and then feel like it becomes a very destructive force within your life. Like building and breaking, building and breaking, building and breaking. This feels like there's a moving on from that now. Like it doesn't just need to be everything falling apart again and again and again. And I think really at your hands, but can be in a way where there's a, like not always realizing that. And that doesn't mean like it's all your fault and everything is your fault. Like we all, depending on who's involved in a situation, like everybody plays a role, right? But I mean, as far as the parts where you have a sense of responsibility, it being connected with that. I do feel like there is a high level of discernment that is developing, that you are sort of revealing to yourself, that is within you, of knowing the difference between what it is that's coming up and saying something to you, and being able to tell, even if it's disguised, the core of what it is that you're connecting with, of the essence behind it, of the true intention behind it. And waking up out of the sleep. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.